I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible. I know words, I have the best words.
He took a break from being disruptive to enjoy the company of her male companion. He briefly had a grasp on the situation before ushers returned.
Take a look at the oranges of the... Look, wait. They sacrifice every day for the furniture.
Some words that have been said about you.
Okay. Nazi wine mom, Nazi cave woman.
I don't let name calling bother me or offend me.
This one's from someone across the pond, a daft wanker. That's British for stupid. Lives on a diet of glue sticks. A lower level life form.
Cephahide. He's a war hero because he was captured.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Left is Right. I am your host, Steve Weekly, with my co-host, Dawn Weekly. Apparently, I'm just now going through puberty. Excuse me. This week, the topic du jour is the shakeup in the Democratic top of the ticket as to who's running and who ain't. So, how was your week, Dawn?
It was splendiferous.
Splendiferous. That's a $50 word right there, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, I got paid today, so I could use it.
Oh, nice. Sweet. So, start it right off, because we do have a guest today who is going to give us his take on the situation.
Yes, we are going to span 3 generations really soon. I'm Gen X. You are...
No, you are Boomer.
No. I'm Generation Jones. You're Gen X, and we're going to have a millennial.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. So
Boomer. That's right, Boomer. We're going to have a millennial on.
I am Generation Jones. You are Gen X.
Generation Jones died in Guinea or wherever the hell they were, Ghana.
And so, yes, we're going to get some fresher opinions on this because you and I were basically kind of both wrong. We were of the opinion that Joe should definitely not bow out and that it would be a train wreck. We were of the opinion that...
Absolutely correct. And I will say that I was wrong, apparently.
And I was too. I was very, very afraid of what would happen if he bowed out. But he, other than saying he's definitely in, there's no way he's getting out, except for now he's getting out. So he bows out.
I think that all the big money donors, all the rich people, he basically kowtowing to them because they threatened to pull all the financial backing.
They did the big squeeze. They squeezed him.
So so as per usual, the rich pricks get their way.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it.
Hello, Debbie. Thank you for watching.
Yay! Our watcher.
Yes.
Our viewer.
Our true blue fan. No truer and no bluer.
So.
Not blue, but okay. Yeah. But yeah, no, I when I first heard it, I was actually pissed because I'm like, way to go. Start from scratch. It's going to be a huge freaking deal. People are going to, this is going to be a nightmare. but it seems to have gone somewhat smoothly.
Yeah, I was very distraught, I guess you could say. I was distraught when I first heard it, and I'm like, oh man, I heard that. I hope that's wrong. I hope that's wrong. And so basically, I was on pins and needles for the first 24 hours. Just like, oh, this is totally going to implode. Everybody's going to on everybody's faces, and I was totally wrong. So,
It happens. It happens.
so
There's been that one time a few years ago I was wrong. I mean, I'm still not over it, but
and now here we are again.
yeah. I mean, I was almost as upset as when I found out that the shooter missed in the false flag operation that happened a couple weeks ago.
Now, speaking of false flags, what do you think about all the conspiracies out there that they had this planned all along, or Kamala knew about this and was hiding it. And
Well, I tell you what. Well, I'm going to stop you right there. Why don't we do this? Because I would like to get our guest's opinion on such a question. So why don't we bring him in? He's coming to us live from our satellite office in Las Vegas, Nevada. He's your son, my nephew, Christopher Grinstead.
Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
I like how he used the opportunity to where he could have put his name in and he put
yes.
I changed it to guest.
Nice.
We are a close-knit family, as you can tell by my nephew guest who has joined us. And so, CJ, if you could, please, what was your first thought when you heard that Biden backed out?
I was happy about it, to be honest. I think a lot of voters have qualms with his age. And so having a younger person in there, and she's still part of his administration anyway, so any sort of benefits he's gotten, she'll also get. So she's right in there. She could pick someone who's popular now for her vice president as well, which will only boost her campaign.
Yeah, true.
What do you think?
And I will say this: I did. One of the very first things I saw was a meme saying, now who's the oldest and most feeble person running?
Yeah, he is historically the oldest candidate now. Trump is. Yeah. So any complaints they have about the elderly is kind of for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, your mom wanted to ask you a question.
So what do you think about all these conspiracies that Kamala orchestrated this whole thing, and or the Democrats knew that they were going to do this all along?
I don't see the benefit for the Democrats to do something like that. Because the risk is if they miss, that's huge for him. That's better, right?
Right.
And they happen to miss because the guy's not a very good shot. Not a professional in any sense of the word. So if it was them, it would have been professional and they wouldn't have missed, right? So in the case that he does miss, it doesn't benefit them and only gives his campaign a better push, better numbers. So I think it'd be ridiculous if they were involved somehow.
Well, that's fascinating. But I was talking about Kamala being behind the whole Biden bowing out thing.
Oh.
Because people are saying that she orchestrated this whole thing.
Why wait so long?
Or they are saying that the administration knew all along that this is what they were going to do.
No, he wouldn't have debated if they knew he wasn't going to keep going. If he was out, he would have gone out really early. No need to debate and make him look foolish because he had a poor debate.
Yeah.
Because that in no way boosts Kamala's numbers.
No, but the way that it worked out, I think that those theories are coming around because it worked out so great that they just finished the Republican convention where their number one thing that they were focused on was Biden bad, all bad Biden and fighting Biden, and then like pulling the rug out from under him because like, oops, no more Biden. So that timing, the way that timing was just kind of like so perfect, leads, of course, to oh well, it was all a conspiracy. They did that on purpose.
Well,
I'm sorry. Did you see that Trump is griping and complaining and wants a reimbursement from the RNC for all the money that he spent campaigning against Biden? He does. He wants reimbursed that money that he spent.
That falls under the TBSS policy.
Yeah.
I think that falls into KMA there, Donald.
Right. TBSS. Too bad, so sad.
To get back to the point, it seems like the Republicans normally take slander as like their go-to thing, especially Trump does. He's all about other guy bad. So obviously he would say that at the convention. Now that doesn't make a difference till when Biden drops out. It makes good timing for them if he doesn't. I mean, he's supposedly gotten COVID and is sick now, so if the timing just worked out, I don't think it was planned.
Well, actually, he's no longer testing positive, and he was back in the White House today.
Oh, good.
He's giving or gave a speech tonight, a presentation to the public on why he stepped down, and of course we haven't seen it because I think it's on right now. But
it was on.
It was an hour ago.
Yeah, an hour ago it was on. And now the Republicans are on, taking every opportunity to talk smackety smack, dirty about Kamala Harris.
Did they get a rebuttal to that? Because they were saying, oh yeah, I need equal time. I need equal time. And it's like, no, you don't. He's the president. He's not campaigning anymore. It's just a presidential address. You don't get an opposite.
ABC gave him a rebuttal.
Oh, did they? Oh,
big surprise. For those of you that don't know, ABC, the American Broadcast Company, or Disney, very right-leaning, very.
But anyway, getting back to what we were talking about, it was interesting because it was the person that I heard or saw say that, it was all a setup. Biden getting out was all a setup. Was an elder law colleague of mine who is younger than you, CJ.
Not many are younger than me that do law.
She is. Okay. She's like 27.
Oh, slightly then.
Yeah. But her opinion was that the Democrats, set this whole thing up, and it was all a conspiracy to take away people's votes from the primary. This person voted for RFK Jr. in the primary, by the way.
Okay.
So it doesn't. Her vote's not being taken away anyway. She already threw it away by giving it to Jack.
I mean, frankly, technically, legally, she should be bound to put that on any and all of her advertisement that I voted for RFK, so people understand that this particular other law attorney is completely brain dead. Has a brain-eating worm in her head.
Well, it's interesting because I said, as an elder law attorney, that people who are having cognitive issues as they're sliding into that, they all think they're fine. They're fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. That's what it's always, I'm fine. They believe that they are fine. They just had a bad day. But otherwise, I'm fine. That's what they all say. And we, as an elder law attorney, You know that. So I said, Joe Biden was just doing the same thing that all people do. I'm fine. I'm fine. I just had a bad day. And so why you would think that it was some big conspiracy when you know how it is when this is happening. You also know, as an elder law attorney, that cognition comes and goes. You have good days, you have bad days. You have a good part of the day, you have a bad part of the day. He had just had.
And just so everybody's aware, just so everyone is aware, okay, village, kitchen, baby, because I had to take a cognitive test this morning at 10 o'clock. And those were the 3 words I was supposed to remember.
Normally it's 5, but okay.
Well, come on, I'm only 55. They cut it back a little for me.
So
I greased the nurse a $5.
So he had just traveled extensively, and he over prepared because he was, crashing so hard to study for it, which made him do poorly. And so he probably is on the spectrum of cognition coming and going, and he's better some days than others, and sometimes and that's totally normal for somebody who's elderly. That doesn't equal conspiracy theory. They knew about it the whole time, and he's so bad that he can't even run the country. That's totally not where it's at.
And that right there is why I'm happy he stepped down.
I saw some clips recently of when he was campaigning in 2020, and I was like, oh, wow, yeah, there's quite a difference there. He was a lot stronger in 2020. So, so I'm fine with having been wrong. I do believe now that this was the best thing, and I'm grateful that it hasn't been a complete train wreck. I'm very happy that I was totally wrong, that there was going to be a lot of dissension with people not wanting Kamala to step in. And instead, she got enough people who endorsed her and backed her. Within the first 48 hours, she had enough delegates to be presumptive.
Well, they did say something on MSNBC 2 weeks ago. I saw something, and they were talking about how the Congressional Black Caucus was already putting stuff together and working and creating a backstop in case Joe did pull out, getting her message and everything ready. So they've been preparing for it for a while.
Contingency plans.
I'm sorry?
Contingency plans, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other thing is, like, who else would it be,
Well,
this year we didn't really have a primary democratically, so
Joe Manchin volunteered.
I'm sure there's plenty of people who volunteered, and I still think they should take some sort of a poll, at least, just to check the temperature of the water, sort of thing.
Well, the first poll still
Not going to happen. She's already put $74 billion in the bank. $74 million in the bank.
The first polls that have come out are showing that she leads Trump. I think it's within 5 points, but she leads Trump, and Trump was leading Biden.
Right. And yes, that's what they're saying. Most of the polls, the closest poll they stated was she led Trump by 2 points. And that was the closest poll so far.
And that was the poll where Trump had previously led Biden by 2 points.
Right.
So that's the shift, which I was surprised by, just because of the excitement that seems to have been just the air, the excitement, the rush of relief that I felt from people, watching social media, even the people who were Joe all the way, don't give up, don't back down, etc. Once he did back down, everybody seemed to coalesce around Kamala, and then they seemed to get excited about it. So I was surprised that the poll was that close. Because the other thing that they said, not only did she raise $100 million in 2 days, previously they were getting a couple hundred people a day to be volunteers, and they got like 98,000 in 2 days who called to volunteer. I mean, that's quite an avalanche of people who were like, yes, I want to get involved. So it seems like the interest shot way up.
Well, I think the interest with younger women is going to be the demographic that she carries by a million miles, because I don't think that younger women were convinced that Biden was really, fighting for them. With the abortion, uh, you know, uh, where the Supreme Court repealed Roe v. Wade.
Reproductive rights.
Yeah, thank you. God, I'm surprised I passed my cognitive test. But I think that, that's always been the issue that she's been bringing up, like forever. So I think that really helps get the coalition together.
Well, so what do you think, CJ? Do you think younger people feel it more? Younger people are more excited to get involved and kind of like, whoosh, well, maybe now I can be interested in this.
Oh yeah, totally. It was entirely unexciting to have two geriatric candidates. Having someone younger is definitely a benefit. It definitely felt like a turd sandwich and a giant fish and a dead fish were campaigning against each other.
Yeah.
And now there's someone who is at least, somewhat energetic. And of course, you have to remember that she only can get votes that aren't already taken by Trump. So she can only do things that benefit her for voters that could vote for her potentially. There's a big chunk that just won't anyway.
Right. Yeah, who are committed to Trump no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not open to any possible change, because if they're not open to listening to about his horrible personal behaviors, why would they be interested in a different candidate for other reasons, for policy reasons? So, yeah, you're right. They're not going to be open to that anyway. It's just the fence sitters and the independents and the people like my elder law friend who voted for RFK Jr. that are open for business.
Unfortunately, a lot of RFK Jr. voters are super conspiracy theorist people.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the current government's the target of all conspiracies.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, she's pretty much like a conspiracy person. So yeah.
Well, then she probably heard this one that I heard just the other day. I don't remember if I read it or I heard it. That something that they discovered in their investigation that probably won't come out was that sweet potato Hitler wasn't even hit by the bullet, and that the guy that did get shot was actually the target because he owed people money.
Well, what about the other people who got hit?
Well, see, there, I don't know that it was complete thought, because at that point I chuckled a little bit and either quit reading or paid attention to something else. But I mean, in hindsight and thinking about it, I mean, that if you put two and two together, I mean, if he was, there to take out that other guy, and then, freaked out and just started pulling the trigger, because everything happening, and like, oh man, he was really close to the president, and pling pling pling, and then he died. You could raise an argument that there could be a piece of truth in there somewhere.
It'd be a very inappropriate place to do that kind of thing.
That's one of the silliest things I've ever heard.
All right, CJ, your mom thinks that I'm crazy and that it was not a false flag operation, that it was a legitimate attempt. What do you think?
My first thought when I heard about it was that, oh, this is definitely staged for attention, because he didn't get hit, and there were several shots fired. It to only be grazed. Even how far was it? Like 150 meters or so?
Yeah, it was not a long shot at all.
So a football field and a half, and you couldn't hit the guy? I think even an unprofessional, just sort of average day shooters could hit that.
I mean, especially with that big of a target, they should have been able to hit him at that range.
Well, I'll give you one that I just read about or saw on Threads. Was that a ballistics expert said that with that bullet, if it had gotten close enough to his ear to make it bleed, like it would not have just nicked his ear and made him bleed. It would have
it would have ripped it off.
Yeah, just the concussion from whizzing by would have like ripped off his ear and possibly part of his head.
Yeah, because the round from that weapon comes out at supersonic speeds, and there are soldiers in Afghanistan and Iraq that would, lose fingers and hands from being shot in them. And it didn't just make a nice hole and go right through. It took appendages off. It's a supersonic bullet, and there's a shock wave involved.
Yeah.
So if it had just nicked his ear, it would have ripped half his ear off. And there's pictures of him golfing the next day, and his ear is fully there, without a bandage or bleeding.
That's true. I have seen those pictures. But it could be that the sonic wave is what nicked his ear and just made it bleed a little. But the bullet was over here.
You sure thought that with how much blood that he splattered on himself, you'd have thought that the next day he'd at least had a Band-Aid on his ear.
It wasn't that much blood. A little bit here, a little bit there.
All the way across the face.
To go down his face,
Yeah.
That's not just a little bit of blood.
Right.
I don't know, but something is fishy about it. And now the woman who was the director of the Secret Service has stepped down after her horrible hearing last week. The woman who was the director of the Secret Service. I don't
Yeah, they really reamed her a good one.
Yeah. So. And they were all like, you should step down. You should step down. She's like, no, I won't step down. No, I won't step down. Oh, next day, I'm stepping down. Okay.
Yeah. I wonder how much she got offered by Halliburton to step down. So I'm sure she's, stepping down into a nice, cushy VP spot into some company somewhere.
Yeah. But the whole situation is fishy. So I hope they do an investigation that leads to something. But speaking of investigation, did you hear the news that they closed the investigation, the impeachment investigation into Joe Biden?
Yes, and then someone immediately has drawn up papers to impeach Kamala Harris.
Well, that's separate. This is the oversight committee headed by James Comer, and Jamie Raskin is the ranking member. And they had opened an impeachment inquiry into Biden and found nothing.
Right.
So they finally closed it, and Raskin's response was he wanted to thank, Mr. Comer for what is it when you indemnify somebody, not indemnify.
Yeah, you already used $150 word in this episode. Slow down.
And I'm having a brain fart for the word that I want. Not ratify, indemnify. It proved that Biden was innocent. He proved that Biden was innocent. What's that word? Not indemnify. They cleared him. Huh?
Codified?
No. They cleared him. Anyway.
Cleared him.
But that's not the word, and I can't think of the right word. Gosh darn it!
One of the congressional loonies filed paperwork to impeach Harris. Now,
was it Marjorie Taylor Greene?
It was one of the loony birds.
Boebert? Maybe?
It was one of the loony birds. I don't think Boebert did it because she knows she's done and gone.
Oh no, she'll probably win her district. What are you talking about?
No, because she had to move districts, and she has
no
chance in the. Huh?
She won her primary in the new district. Yeah. That's why she moved districts, so she could go to a district where she'd probably win. Because she was probably going to lose in her old district.
Okay.
Yeah, no, she won her primary quite handily. She'll be back. I don't know, but yeah, that's hilarious. That's on what basis are they bringing articles of impeachment? Oh, because she's the border czar and she didn't do anything. Well, that's the most ludicrous thing ever because immigration problems are way down, number one, and they had a bipartisan agreement to do things at the border that Republicans want, and Trump killed it. So how are you going to impeach Kamala for that?
Well, and then the Governor Cripp from Texas talking about
that's inappropriate, mister.
Sorry. It's not my fault.
Governor Abbott from Texas, anyway. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's a douchebag.
That would be fine. Governor Cripp, not fine. You see my difference there?
Okay. But he was wearing red. Oh, wait. No, never mind. He'd have to be wearing blue. All right, never mind.
What about it?
What was I saying? Oh, yeah. They're going to start the buses back up just in time for the Democratic Convention in Chicago.
Whatever. Exonerate. That was the word I was looking for. Exonerate.
Exonerate. All right.
Over for exonerating Biden. Darn it.
I think that both of us need a couple of minutes to regroup and get our thoughts together. Hopefully, our guests will stay with us for the next segment. And
it's a good thing you guys aren't running for president.
Oh, no, not by a long shot. But we will be right back after a few words.
In a world where the future can seem uncertain, there's one place you can turn to for guidance and peace of mind. Legacy Law Firm, owned and operated by attorney Dawn Weekly. With Attorney Weekly's expertise in elder law, you can trust that your family's legacy is in capable hands.
At Legacy Law Firm, we understand the importance of planning for the future, whether it's drafting a will, navigating Medicaid, or protecting your assets. We're here to help.
Attorney Weekly made the process seamless and stress-free.
Her knowledge and dedication are truly exceptional.
Don't leave your family's future to chance. Contact Legacy Law Firm today and schedule your consultation with Attorney Dawn Weekly. Legacy Law Firm, helping you build a lasting legacy from one generation to the next.
Hi, we're KISS. There's something you should know about us. We love kids.
Maybe that's because the last U.S. Census proved that 44% of all children conceived between 1972 and 1984 were conceived at a KISS concert.
By Gene.
That's why we've joined the Helping Parents to Rock movement.
We're on patrol 24/7.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. We got a code red. Over there, over there.
Hang on to it, Neville.
Never fear, KISS is here. Nice makeup.
I'm sorry your parents ruined your birthday. Flip. But KISS is going to make it all better. Yes, we love to rock, but not as much as we love helping parents to rock.
All right, here we go, champ. Here we go. All right, here we go. You're getting it.
Yeah, we're going to need you to sign this waiver.
KISS assumes no liability for kids helped by KISS.
This episode of Left is Right is sponsored by Take Everything Digital, where they preserve your precious memories by converting your analog memories to digital ones that can last forever. If you have video, audio, or camcorder tapes collecting dust, Take Everything Digital can convert them as well as reel-to-reel films, slides, and photos. They operate out of Yorkville and St. Charles, Illinois, and will pick up your work within a 30-mile radius for free. Your memories are never outsourced to another company, so there are no shipping mishaps. There is also a monthly budget plan where you can decide how much you want to spend each month until your memories are all preserved. Go to www.takeeverythingdigital.com for more information or to schedule a free consultation. And welcome back to Left is Right. Today our special guest is Mr. Christopher Grinstead, or Guest, as he is affectionately known by his mother and uncle. In case anybody missed it, we got a new PSA in the mix for a very important organization, Helping Parents to Rock.
What is it exactly that they do?
They help parents to rock.
Oh, is that it?
That's it.
Okay.
All right. Hey, right in the middle of the show, could you turn around and show us your back, please?
I had to get a new pen to fill out more postcards.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Well, now that we've had a moment to get my age-riddled brain operable again, what do you see being the biggest hurdles going forward for saving democracy, CJ?
That is a question right there.
I'm good for one a show.
Well, before it was apathy and people not wanting to be involved. Do you think that is still the case?
I feel like that's always a hurdle. politics isn't very fun for most, so
Yeah.
a lot of people just disregard it because it doesn't affect them in their personal lives, and everything's so slow.
Is it because people of your generation are really really are not taught about government that they think that it doesn't affect them?
I don't think it's my generation specifically. I think it's all of them have this
Well,
issue.
I know that there's some people in Gen X that don't understand that government affects them every day.
Right, and it's the same people. It's just like a certain percentage of every person. It's going to be like that. It's their lost cause.
But what do you have? I mean, do you really have anything in particular you think that's going to be a problem in saving democracy?
Or I mean, first and foremost, we're getting there slowly, but getting all of the geriatric people out of politics would be great. They're just not there. They're not they don't understand people anymore. They're not about their constituents. And they've accumulated so much power that they kind of can do whatever they want, regardless of what the country wants.
So the fact that they're motivated by money and power, and they're facilitated in that by the way that they've changed the rules over the past 20 to 30 years, so that they can accumulate that wealth and power unimpeded by any regulations or rules. And that's really kind of led to where we're at.
Certainly.
But CJ, do you think that that's only the greatest generation and your mother's generation, the boomers, that suffer from that? Or, the younger people in Congress that are obviously doing it for the same reason? I mean, I don't think it's strictly generational.
No, but the ones that have been there the longest have been the old ones. And they're the ones with the most power because they've been there the longest because they're old. You see? It all goes hand in hand. Now, to be a politician, you have to be a little power hungry. Anyone who is not power hungry is not going to be a politician.
Which sucks.
But that's how it is. If you want leadership, you want power, that's just how it goes. The only leaders that deserve to be leaders are people who are willing to throw it away. Yeah. And unfortunately, that's just not something that happens.
Well, some people get into politics because they really want to help people.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah. I mean, there are those people. You should, we can't just say with a blanket statement that none of them are there because they want to help people.
Did you ask my opinion?
I don't think it was me. I think it was Steve.
Well, what I mean is you can't nitpick just because I say something that might be for everyone. It is a generalization. You can't just say, well, not everybody, because then we would just be arguing about not everybody all the time.
Yeah, in other words, Dawn, your mom.
You asked me a leading question where I was going to make some generalizations, so you can't be upset when I generalize.
Yeah, Mom.
I'm just saying, glass half full.
Well, not that it never happens, but to rise up the ladder, you have to want the power. You don't just get it.
Yeah.
It takes work. Now, people who are in it for the right reasons, that's great. Not to say they're not, uncorruptible. It's an entirely different thing. And the way things work right now, it's very easy to corrupt a politician with money, with promises. So it'd be great if we didn't have that issue.
It would. And, the way that one of the first steps we can take to get to that place is to overturn Citizens United, right?
Yeah, and limit lobbying entirely would be fantastic.
Yeah. But that brings us to our previous one of our solutions segment, one of our solutions segments that we talked about in the past, which you can see on the banner there, is citizen.org, where they are working to try to overturn Citizens United, whether by state law or federal law or constitutional amendment. I mean, they're trying kind of all types of avenues to try to codify something so that horrible Supreme Court opinion, will no longer control our politics as much as it does. So that, we're just tying in a previous solutions segment. People should go to that website and check it out and see if there's anything that they might be able to do.
Well, another thing they could do is fix the Supreme Court so that way there's the number of justices there should be. Yeah, because we have more land now than when we first did. So now there's more circuit courts. So now there should be a total number of justice increase to match.
Yeah, that always appealed to me, having,
as it just makes sense.
Because they went to 9 justices when there was 9 circuits. But before that they had fewer than 9. Now that we have 13 circuits, it would make sense that we had 13 justices. I mean, that just logically makes sense to me.
The math checks out, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that with what the 6 months Biden has left, I think he should, if he really wants to cement his legacy, I think he should focus solely on fixing and or defanging the Supreme Court. I think his last 6 months in office should be focused solely on fixing the Supreme Court.
Right. They don't have the checks and balances that the others do.
Right.
And they should.
Right. No, exactly. And I think that he should do, I mean, I know the president's limited to what he can do to another branch of the government, but he's got to start, twisting some arms and snapping some kneecaps and get the Supreme Court handled.
Adding rules and oversight committee would be very good, very beneficial for that. And I've heard that there's work to do that. So.
Well, not only that, but I also agree in increasing the number of justices and judicial term limits.
Yeah, that was another proposal we had too.
That's kind of what I was getting at before. A little bit is term limits would adjust the power hungry, corruptible problem. Not only for congressmen, but for Supreme Court members as well.
I know that Dawn is not agreeable to term limits, but I would say that from a congressman to a senator to the president to a Supreme Court justice, there should be a flat 10-year term limit. You got 10 years.
To do all of that?
Right. If you run for Congress, okay, and let's say you serve 2 terms as a congressman, then you want to run as a senator, okay, then you run a senator for 6 years, but you want to run for president, then you got 4 years and that's it. You got 10 years max to serve the people.
Why not 30, like a normal job?
Because
I didn't train my life and go to college to do my job for 10 years.
Yeah, but your job is also, fundamentally different.
Right, but they should still have gone to school and gotten technical experience. And the whole poli-sci thing is huge at college, So
yeah, but the only people who go poli-sci in college are people that work for lobbyists.
That's not true.
They seldom, if ever, run for office.
That's not true.
Not as Democrats, anyway.
I'll give you 50-50 maybe on that.
A lot of people who go to law school are poli-sci majors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See?
So they would have wasted their money and time if they only had 10 years to get that accomplished.
Yeah.
That's
True.
my only point. However, if college was really cheap and the degrees meant nothing, well, sure, I could get behind that.
Well, the degrees already mean nothing.
To some, sure.
A majority.
And my view is for congressmen and senators, there already are term limits. They're called elections.
Yes, but people usually vote for the incumbent if they don't know anything.
Well, then whose fault is that? That's ours.
Blame the uneducated for their issues.
The problem,
You're not
Dawn,
going
is
to
that
become
when we
educated just because you're blaming them.
The problem is, Dawn, is when we rely on your method, we get Ertl the Turtle having a stroke in front of the press 3 times.
Then don't vote for Ertl the Turtle.
People
You know,
do.
the same
Okay,
people.
no, hold on.
who say,
I will.
It's going
You hold on. I'll mute. I'm going to mute you. Hold on. No. I would agree with you, except for. Well, let's put it this way: if we're going to do it that way, then there can't be any gerrymandering. No more gerrymandering.
And take
Districts,
the money out of politics. Yes, and then you don't need term.
districts are made up of so many townships, and that's how you do it.
You know, a lot of states don't have townships like Illinois does. Did you know that?
Actually, the majority of states have townships.
Do they?
Yeah, there are only a couple that don't, but they call them parishes.
Okay.
But they work the exact same way.
Huh. Well, okay. But
Wow.
if we got money out of politics, if we got
money out of politics, nobody would run.
No, I mean money out of the elections.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if we had publicly funded elections, or overturn Citizens United, so that rich people couldn't anoint the politicians, and it was actually truly an election where voters vote, then you wouldn't need term limits.
Very true. Very true. And I agree with that statement. But in the meantime, when we don't have that, term limits is, a possible solution.
Well, so I was talking to somebody, about their term limits, and they were talking in a local sense for their state reps. And so I looked up to see if there were any state legislatures that have term limits, and there are. And so I think that what will be interesting is over the next 10 years or so to see those places that instituted term limits starting in the 90s, if it's had a difference, if it's made a difference. What effect has term limits had? And I want to see the answers to that before I put term limits on our federal representatives.
Right. No, I that would be very interesting, and I do agree with that.
Because if we put term limits on the representatives, but have the same army of lobbyists in Washington that we have now, the lobbyists will be in charge, and they will run everything even more than they do now. They will totally be in charge because the legislator who is elected needs one term to really figure out how things work and to figure out how to get things done. And so their first term will be that, and their second, so they'll have one term to do anything, and then they're done. And so the people who will know how things get done or how to do things will be the lobbyists who are there permanently.
I'm not saying one term and you're done. I mean, if you're a congressman at 10-year term limit, that's what? That's five terms.
For a 2-year representative. But
Yeah.
most people are talking about 2 terms for whoever they are. I mean, when people talk about term limits, usually it's like the presidential term limit, which is 2 terms.
Right.
Those are 4 years. 2 senatorial terms, which are 6 years each. That's usually what they're talking about. But
Why
but in
don't
any
they
event,
have a class?
pardon me?
Why not teach candidates how things are done before they get there? Isn't that part of how education in general? Why do they have to suddenly learn everything once they get there?
They have to suddenly learn everything once they get there.
Why?
Well,
Because
gosh darn it, if we only had something that we could teach, some way of teaching them.
each house has its own set of procedures and rules, and they're arcane and they're hard to understand. And that's just the procedures and the rules. That's not really learning how things work. When you go to a new workplace and you kind of got to get the lay of the land and figure out how things work. Who's the person who gets things done? Who's the person who's the roadblock? You know what I mean? Who's the person who's the snitch? You got to get the lay of the land and how things work.
Okay.
So that's all part of it too, but on a huge scale. You got
I
to
don't
figure
see how that stops them from writing bills.
You can write a bill all day long, but the work is getting somebody to sign on to your bill and getting co-sponsors and getting the bill through the body.
If it's a good bill, it should do the work itself.
Oh gosh, not when they have thousands of bills that they're working on. You got to figure out how to get your bill, in front of the right people. I mean, I can tell you, being on the legislative committee in Illinois, just the bills that we've worked on and the work that takes. We have worked this year. We worked on a bill to put a little bit of teeth in the POA law, and we had to water it way down so the banking lobby would agree and not fight it and not kill it. Knowing who those contacts are to make those things happen, that's a whole education in itself. And then there was a couple of other bills that.
Well, then you're dancing around the true solution. The true solution is to get rid of lobbying completely. Period. Lobbying is the same as basically make it that lobbying is the same as bribery and it's illegal. If a representative wants to know what his people are thinking,
he goes to the
emails people and calls and go back to your home district and find out.
Well, how would you make that happen? Because the Supreme Court has said that people are entitled to have their interests represented by.
And they are by people we elect. That's why they're called the House of Representatives.
No, I'm talking about the Supreme Court has specifically said that lobbying is okay and just fine.
Well, yeah, but the Supreme Court is a bunch of corrupt old goozers anyway.
And they said that a long time ago.
They've always been a bunch of corrupt old goozers. I mean, FDR wanted to get rid of them. Not get rid of them, but he wanted to fix it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the lobbyists work for the moneyed interests. Usually it's not citizens who have a super PAC. David Hogg would be an exception. He has started his super PAC for young people who are against gun violence. And that's their issue, gun violence. And so they will advocate and work with people who are going to do bills on gun violence.
Yeah, no, I see your point. I just think that, if we're going to find a solution, it's got to be an outside the box solution.
Could be.
Because anything that's inside the box has already been thought of and shot down and defeated in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, you just have to be aware of unintended consequences and try to stave them off as best as possible. So, was there a time? So, when did lobbying come into being? What do we know?
Lobbying came into being from the get-go.
From
the
get-go,
yes. There were people lobbying George Washington for things. There were people lobbying Thomas Jefferson for things. There's always been lobbyists. Not necessarily corporate lobbyists, but lobbyists.
Okay. And these are paid professionals who try to influence legislators.
I said they weren't always corporate lobbyists.
That's
but they
different.
were lobbyists. They went to Washington to lobby the government for something.
Okay, that's different than I think what we're talking about when we say lobbyists are the paid professionals, people who are paid by some organization or group of people to try to influence legislators. Right?
I would agree, but you asked me, your question was, how long has lobbying been around? And
right.
I've told you from the get-go.
and I'm trying to narrow the scope of what we're talking about.
Money lobbying like that, I don't know when that started.
We're looking
I'm
at like
assuming sometime in the 50s.
70-ish.
No, I'm figuring probably in the 30s, 40s, something like that.
I'm looking it up right now.
Okay.
Right.
Oh,
it's been around forever. But as far as paid goes, 1870s-ish. Okay. Which is what I found.
What was that? I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Lobbying as a term has been around since the country started, but as for people who are paid to do that, it's like 1870s. And for the longest time, it was considered corruption. Up until 1950 something.
There you go.
Yeah. In 1953, the Supreme Court construed lobbying activities to mean only direct lobbying. It contrasted with indirect lobbying and called that First Amendment. The court rejected a broader interpretation of lobbying out of First Amendment concerns. So since it's been around for so long, it would be really hard to outlaw it. Outright outlaw it.
Well, that's why people should vote for me and make me the democratically elected dictator, and I will fix it.
Just on day one, and on day two, you'll not be the dictator.
I've already told you that day one crap is for Trump. I am going to be the dictator the whole freaking time. And then in 8 years, I will allow there to be an election. Once I've got it fixed and everything is running smoothly, then somebody can pick up where I left off. Yep.
Oh my gosh. So maybe that's a solution segment for the future, but you want to talk about Project 2025 now?
Yeah, now that I just read what you were laughing at. Please enlighten us on Project 2025.
So everything that you see on the internet is correct. I have spent a lot of time posting and pasting pages from Project 2025 to everything I see. Yes, you're right. Here it is on page 498. Yes, you're right. Here it is on page 562. But what I wanted to let you know was that next week, starting on Monday, on the Joy Reid show on MSNBC, she is going to spend the whole hour, all 5 days next week, going through Project 2025 and talking about it.
Yeah.
So
and you know what?
Get out.
MSNBC can send us a nice fat check for that idea.
Everybody get out your VCRs and set your timers.
Boomer.
Generation Jones.
Boomer.
Don't try to pretend that you weren't around when there were VCRs, Gen Xer.
Yeah, but I'm a Gen Xer.
I know what
so
a
I never cared.
VCR is.
I knew
There
what
you
it was. I just never used it. I'm a Gen Xer.
Baloney. So set your TiVo.
Wow. Definitely a boomer. TiVo. You think that's a modern technology?
I didn't say it was modern. I was just being funny. I have actually programmed my YouTube TV to record it. So there.
Wow. You are fancy.
Yes. And so I'm hoping that will be very enlightening. So I encourage everybody to check it out.
Nice. And enlighten us as to what you were filling out earlier.
Oh, I was working on my postcards. I was working on my postcards here. Can you see it says Michigan? I have Michigan postcards that I got from turnoutpack.org. Pardon me. Basically, they send me a list of 200 people and 200 postcards to send out just to encourage people to vote, basically. I am on page 2 of my 8-page list, and I'm almost done with page 2. So I've got until the end of October. They said send them out at the end of October. So I got a while, but
yeah, you might get through all those pages by November 5th.
Well, yeah, I look at I got a whole list of them here.
I see that. You are a better citizen than
I. Which is a much better way to do it than what they're doing with me, which is sending me 4 to 12 text messages every single freaking day, asking me for money.
Well, at least the Democrats are smart enough to know not to ask me for money.
But the sad thing is they think I'm someone named Barbara. Really, hello, Barbara. Will you give money to some?
Well, give me some money there, Barb.
I'm not Barbara. I do not live in St. Louis. Between that and do I want to sell my property somewhere in Missouri? Those are the text messages I get because freaking Barbara gave her number out to everybody, apparently.
That no good woman. We do have an interesting question posed by our viewer. Is there a Project 2049?
There is not. Why would there be? 49?
Minor 49.
Elected in 2049. They said 2025 is the year that the new administration will start.
Right, which would mean that more than likely 48 would be the election year.
They have their own webpage.
Project 49?
Yeah, 2049.net.
What does that entail?
What is this? What did our viewer get us into?
She was told there was.
The Project 2049 Institute.
U.S. policy in Asia.
Cool. I'm all for it.
Okay.
More manga,
yeah,
please.
It's Asia stuff.
Thank you for that helpful hint. There is a Project 2049. It's not the same thing as Project 2025.
No.
And sorry, I gotta quit with the booger sugar before the show. Our other solution is www.nationalpopularvote.com. It's the movement to enact the popular vote over the Electoral College. I feel that that's probably one of the better ways to kill two birds with one stone, because if the if you have a national popular vote, that's going to cut some of the legs out from underneath the lobbyists.
Basically, it's the most direct way to eliminate minority rule.
Yeah.
Because the states who are in the compact agree that they will send their electoral votes to the person who won the national popular vote, regardless of what their state did.
I like that idea.
Yes. So, and we're only about 3 states away from it becoming a national compact.
Nice.
Yeah.
Because we can't let those minorities rule.
That's not what
At this point, the minorities would rule.
Well, yeah, probably.
Because more of them.
Yes.
What?
In the city?
He's saying that if we had national popular vote, that there's a better chance that more minorities would be elected.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, more minorities, you know, but it would be majority rule.
Right. I was making a play on words.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite as humorous as what I said, but it was more femoral.
Like with your femur? Is there something wrong with your femur?
Well, yeah, it's not humorous.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
Yeah. And on that note, I would very much so like to appreciate or like to thank our guest and show our appreciation for coming on and giving us the millennial view, because me as a Gen Xer, I just don't care enough. And your mom is a boomer. She's so out of touch.
Generation Jones. Get it right.
You just don't want the negative connotations with it.
That's right.
You got to accept it. Accept who you are.
I am a Generation Jones. I'm in a Facebook
Accepted
group.
boomer.
Generation Jones.
The fact that you're in a Facebook group makes you more of a boomer. Just saying.
I'm in a Facebook group just for Generation Jones people.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What he's saying is you boomers are all in Facebook groups.
I'm not a boomer.
Okay.
Total boomer.
It's illusional.
All right. Well, thank you, folks, for joining us, putting up with us for the last hour. If you would like to see more of CJ in the show, by all means, send us some mail at leftisright2024@gmail.com. You can tune in and watch the show at www.youtube.com/@leftisright2024.
Don't forget the hyphen.
Hyphen 2024.
Yeah, it's scrolling on the bottom of your screen there.
Yeah, and it went too fast. That's why I wasn't able to read it all. But
it'd be funny if you said, "Hey, wait a minute."
Here it is. But no, thank you everyone for watches. Thank you, Debbie, for being our biggest fan, and thank you for everybody who watches later on. We appreciate anyone who enjoys the stupidity that I bring with the factual and well thought out argument that Dawn provides. And CJ is very logical, and that kind of worries me because I was hoping he'd be more like me, but I guess the genes are only so strong. But on that note, thank you, folks.
That makes it sound like you guys are my parents, and that's not true.
What the see? Jesus.
Well, whatever. I mean, no, but what? Okay. I think I said something stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Bye.
I needed money cause I had none. I fought the law and the law won.
I just wanted to say, look, welcome to the end of democracy. We're here to overthrow it completely. We didn't get all the way there on January 6th, but we will endeavor to get rid of it.
I never talked this way about him. You probably know. Until I got, who is this? Is he a friend? You can get him out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here. Go ahead. You can throw him out.
I needed money cause I had none. I fought the law and the law won.